Hope216 says, stupid people are dangerous. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, please take a look at this Lutheran minister's work. His writings during the Nazi regime eerily mirrors what we are seeing today. On that note, we're going to talk about something. I'm going to make a plug. So a friend sent me a video, and the video is by Culture, Faith, and Politics. Pastor Pat. I don't know if he calls himself pastor. I don't think he calls himself pastor anymore, but he's certainly pastoring to me. So he's just going to have to deal with that, because I think he's pastoring to a lot of people right now, whether he wants the title or not. Pastor Pat. So Pastor Pat, Culture, Faith, and Politics. He did a video the other day. That's him there. He did a video the other day. Have Americans become too stupid to save our constitutional democracy? Now, the video isn't really about Dietrich Bonhoeffer's theory of stupid people. Anyway, but Pat here, he's going to do a series of talks on Bonhoeffer's stupidity theory. I would encourage you, when he releases those videos, check it out. Bonhoeffer was a genius. I didn't realize Bonhoeffer was prophetic, but I think what he observed in the 30s and 40s is easily applied to today, without question. It's not a perfect match. It's not perfect metaphor or a perfect example, but it's close enough that we can learn a lot from him and apply it. So when Culture, Faith, and Politics, Pat, when they release their work, please check it out. Now, as I watched this video, really what Pat talked about was his hope. That's what I took from it anyway, was his hope for America, was his hope that, I think one of the things he says towards the beginning of the video is, does Trump think that Americans are that stupid that we would give up what we have? And Pat says, I don't think so. He actually goes on to say, and I love this. See, I love this. Yeah, he's a great guy. I love, because he says, I wouldn't do this work if I believed Americans were too stupid to save the country, to save the constitutional democracy. I wouldn't bother. Basically, I wouldn't waste, to put words in his mouth, I wouldn't waste my breath if I didn't think there was hope. So he has hope. Now, as I listened to his talk, my brain does what my brain does, and my brain went in another direction. And my brain, and actually, oddly enough, a video that I think is being released tonight sort of speaks to this as well, but this will be a little bit more detailed. It's where we are as a world today. Not just Americans, but where we are as a world today. Things have been really, really, really good, right? Things have been really, really, really good for the most part here in Canada. Things have been really, really good for years, for decades and decades and decades. I don't remember a time in my life that there was any kind of real existential threat to our country. Now today, depending on who you talk to, you might hear, well, there's an existential threat because Trump's threatening to make us the 51st state, and Trump's saying this and he's saying that, and this this person is saying this on Twitter, and this one's saying that on Twitter, and another person's. So there's all that kind of stuff. Plus, add in the threats and the application of tariffs that have been thrown our way on our products. Like I think today it was steel and aluminum. Whatever it may be, we do here in Canada. We see ourselves in this place that it's. This is pretty rough. In my lifetime, I don't remember a time that was this rough. Certainly in my adult lifetime, I don't remember a time where there was this much anxiety within the nation, within the peoples of my country, within the population. Again, I say that, and I need to recognize that I'm saying that as a person of extreme privilege. I'm not an Indigenous person who grew up on a reservation where very little was provided, where they might have been surrounded by addiction issues and things like that, in extreme poverty. I'm not somebody who grew up in the inner city, where they might have faced financial difficulty. I'm not an immigrant. My parents didn't immigrate to this country. I mean, my parents both came from sort of poorer families, but they didn't starve. I never really went, myself personally, I never really went without. So maybe there's people in my country, maybe there's people in your country that have seen these kinds of days. But for me, this is new. And what I was thinking about as I was considering all this was, like, this is needed. This whole thing that we're going through, not only do we get to go through it, not only should we look at this as an opportunity that for us to grow and for us to make our countries better, it's the inevitable outcome. It's the inevitable outcome of what we're going through. This time is needed. This time is going to be beneficial to us. We cannot keep going in the directions we were going without this struggle, because it was too comfortable. Paul has this passage, Romans 5, verses 3 through 5. We also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit, who has been given to us. Suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, character, hope. Suffering, perseverance, perseverance, character, character, hope. The only way Canada gets to become stronger as a nation, the only way we grow closer together as citizens, is if there's some catalyst introduced. The only way the American experiment, I love that term. I really do. I don't know where I heard it. I don't know who coined it, but I love that term. The American experiment doesn't truly get tested and ultimately empowered and strengthened is the only way that happens is if some kind of catalyst is introduced into it. Now, it would be nice if the catalyst was gentle and breezy and nonchalant and, not fear, anxiety, stress inducing. It would be nice if the catalyst wasn't like a monkey wrench being thrown into an engine. But in this case today, I think it is. What we're experiencing is a great deal of shift and a great deal of uncertainty and a great deal of insecurity and a great number of people informing us quite directly of all the horrible things that they want to do. It's hard. But this kind of thing does lead, this kind of suffering does lead to us learning how to persevere. What we're experiencing here in Canada, again, because of, let's say, the tariffs or the 51st state nonsense that he keeps spewing, we're going to learn how to persevere through this. Canadians will be stronger because of this. No doubt. And in that perseverance, our character will be developed. We'll come together as a nation, as a populace. And when we come together, our hope will spring. I'll find greater hope in my neighbors because I see what they're doing, and hopefully they see what I'm doing, and their hope grows through my example, and so on and so forth. And again, with democracy, It's democracy, I think, needs to be threatened from time to time. Because if it isn't, then if a democracy isn't threatened, if a democracy doesn't go through turmoil, if a democracy doesn't have its issues, if a democracy isn't forced to face ugliness from time to time, then there's no reason for that democracy to grow stronger. They can just sail, smooth sailing. Smooth sailing. Everything is great. Everything is copacetic. Everything is kosher. Everything is wonderful. We're just going to sail on through. And there's no ability to grow from that. I mean, if you look at the Constitution of the United States, the very fact that there's an amendments section is indicative that the founding fathers understood that the democracy as it was going to face challenges. And the democracy would have to, because of those challenges, would have to come up with new creative ways of dealing, new and creative ways of coping, new and creative ways of overcoming. And so you started seeing amendments. Oh yeah, well, we need to put an amendment in for that. Oh, we just had somebody who's 4 terms as a president. Well, that's a little long. Let's put 2 in place. Oh yes, maybe there's whatever the case might be. We're going to put amendments in to help us overcome a particular issue, overcome a particular challenge. It's genius. But they understood the necessity for growth. They understood the necessity that future leaders would need to write amendments to the Constitution, policy, law that protected the country from a new threat, from a new issue, from new challenges. The only way we get stronger, again, it even comes down to like working out, right? The only way your muscles get bigger is if you break them a little bit. Is if you force them to do work that they're not used to doing, so that your muscle goes, oh well, I guess this is the new normal. Let's grow. It's the same principle. Paul's speaking of the same principle in our lives, for our hope to spring eternal. Our character must grow, and our character grows as we persevere through suffering. So yeah, again, while this sucks, and while this is really difficult, and while it's filled with trepidation, and yes, we want to pull out whatever hair we have remaining on our head, we're going through this time when people are going to infuriate us. Leaders are going to infuriate us, and leaders are going to say and do things that terrify us. If we reframe, if we allow ourselves to believe, to understand and believe that this is a moment of opportunity for us as individuals to grow, for us as communities to grow, and for us as nations to grow. That this suffering, whatever that suffering may be that we're experiencing, if we choose to stand against it, to speak against it, to work against it, we will learn to persevere greater and greater and greater lengths of suffering, depths of suffering. And as we do that, our character grows. We become stronger. We become wiser. We become more experienced. We become more nuanced as people. We become less prone to fear, less prone to anxiety, less prone to the nonsense of someone saying the best thing we can do is raise chickens for ourselves. And then our hope seems to be ever present. And our hope seems to be indestructible and inevitable. And in that hope, In that hope is where we keep, it's with that hope that we keep striving to build the nations, to build the communities, to build up who we are into the image of what we dream they could be. Hope, suffering, excuse me, suffering builds perseverance, perseverance, character, hope. And with hope, all things are possible. Amen.